you, Scott, are probably not just overly passionate about the funding side or the nitty gritty of what you do. You're passionate about helping people. You've got to find something about what you do that you enjoy, that you wake up every single morning for and you're excited for. It doesn't matter if that's being a firefighter, landscaper, contractor, it doesn't matter. You got to find that thing. And I think that that drives a lot of things in a business.
Everybody, welcome today. With me is a great friend of mine, somebody who I'm really excited to introduce to you guys. Excellent roofing contractor, human being, father, and business owner, someone I've learned quite a bit from actually and really enjoyed working with and getting to know personally and professionally. Andrew Ammons is the president, owner, co-founder, founder of ACR Roofing and ACR companies. So we're going to talk a little bit about all those, but Andrew, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's been a little bit in the making. First off, I appreciate not only you having me on here, but everything that you guys have done. It's interesting. Almost immediately after me and you met, there was business to be done between us. And I don't know that I knew at the time how helpful that was to our organization. And I know I've thanked you before, but I got to do it, in front of all the millions of people that will see this.
Well, you're very welcome, number one. Thank you. But more importantly, I'm glad that we were able to help you and anything that we were able to do to push you forward faster to help yourself has been great. I've shared your story with many customers now, just how you've saved money on those projects, how you utilize our loan program as good or better than anybody I've ever seen. And I'm really interested in talking to you about that as well. But if you don't mind, can you give everybody Take 2 or 3 minutes. Just give everybody an overview, just who you are, where you're at, what you do, what the business is, just so they can get a concept of the ins and outs of your life.
Gotcha. I took a big gulp right before you said that because I don't know if I can do it in 3 minutes because I'm a little bit long-winded, but I'll do my best. So I think you covered my name, Andrew Ammons. I am stationed out in West Texas, actually. I've been in the contracting business ever since I can remember. Grew up with a dad who was in the residential remodel and roofing business. So I kind of saw how that ran growing up. Had the blessing to see both of my parents go from, I guess what you'd say is a 9-to-5 job into more of a owner-operator or entrepreneurial situation. So I got to see both sides of that, and it always intrigued me to be able to have, full control of your future, right? The good and the bad, everything that came with it. So I got to watch that growing up. I am in the contracting space. People ask me often, what's your passion or what do you enjoy doing? And the fact is, I'm not crazy passionate about contracting in general. I am crazy passionate about building processes, building people, being able to put my mark on something and seeing that continue to operate. So just a little bit of history. I started in the contracting business. First was landscaping, landscape maintenance in the residential markets, which is probably some of the lowest barriers to entry you could probably have in construction, right? You gotta have a trailer, a couple mowers, not much to it. So I started there, kind of built out some processes and cut my teeth, so to speak, in that world. Ran a landscape company for, almost a decade. It's a little bit crazy to think that I can say that because I still consider myself young, even though before we started recording, you made sure to call out the gray in my beard, which...
I don't have one, buddy. If I grew one out, I'd have that same problem. That's why I shaved.
Well, I don't know if you can actually see it, but anyways, I did that for about 10 years. I enjoyed it, eventually got burnt out, hit my head up against, the same brick wall over and over again. I didn't quit. Rather than doing that, I brought on a partner who was a little bit more seasoned in the landscape world than myself. Let him come on and begin to operate it. And I've still maintained ownership and very high level involvement with that company, Verde Landscape Companies. So once I was kind of done with that, I fell back into, I guess you could say, my roots, where I saw, my dad first move into the contracting world. But I went straight into the commercial roofing world rather than residential. mostly because more opportunity there, at least as I saw it, and the clientele, it seems to be more about solving problems and a little bit more of a challenge. So I enjoy that. And so jumped right back into commercial roofing, and that's where I am today.
Awesome, man. I was really curious of how you decided in the construction world, pivoting from doing landscaping, or like you said, getting into a residential landscaping and all of a sudden jumping to commercial roofing. I mean, you got different licenses, you got different skills, you got different talents, bidding. I mean, all that's a big different leap. I was curious of how that came about.
There was a lot more of an evolution with Verde than I probably gave credit to, because we started in residential and eventually, and I'm not knocking residential whatsoever. It just isn't, quite frankly, congruent with me and how I deal and operate with people. So there was an evolution there where we were doing the residential work. And at some point, I started to build relationships with property management groups and ownerships, and really understood some of the unique challenges that they had. So we slowly and systematically started moving out of the residential world and strictly into commercial with the landscaping company. So I'd already started that. Again, had been around residential roofing my entire life. In fact, my first job, so to speak, you can't hardly call it a job, but was residential roofing sales. So I knew the business, but because of some of the relationships we've begun to build with the landscaping company and that world that I was so intrigued by, especially what I refer to as the multi-stakeholder situation, where you've got a local property director, a property management group, and then somebody somewhere behind the veil that owns the actual asset. So I became very interested in how all that worked. And that was a big driver for why we went straight into the commercial space.
It's awesome to hear you talk about why you wanted to get into this business and where your passions really lie, and how you've used construction as a vehicle for you to be able to do that. When you and I first met out in, almost a year ago now, maybe a little longer, out in Coeur d'Alene, the first thing that attracted me to you is I was like, I can't believe you're in construction. I mean, we were amongst a group of 100 or so entrepreneurs, and most construction folks are not thinking about the why what they're doing for business and why they want to help and who they want to help and how their teams and employees first. They're always thinking they've grinded like you did, but the first thing they talk about typically is that grind and how they got to it. But you talked about your team, your employees, the people you've developed, your passion. And it wasn't until 5 minutes in the conversation that you're like, yeah, and by the way, I own a roofing company. I was like, I was waiting for you to tell me you own like software or like some other B2B organization. And I ask you that because I think it's so important that why you do something is more important than what you do. And if you focus on why you do things, what you do becomes even better, and everyone recognizes that. And I want the audience to hear in your words how you took that part of your life and passion and molded it into a construction company, because I think it's a really hard bridge when I talk to our customers or potential customers, how they mold those passions and the desire to help not only into a project but into their teams and their organization inside of a construction environment.
Right. Well, I'm glad you bring that up, because that goes back to the first thing we talked about on this call. Like I would argue, and I may be wrong, but that you, Scott, are probably not just overly passionate about the funding side or the nitty gritty of what you do. You're passionate about helping people, right? You're passionate about, okay, my client base or prospective client base are contractors who suffer a certain problem or a certain set of problems that are probably very common amongst all of us. And you found a way and a very specialized service that you could help us with. So you're passionate about going in, how do I make that product better? And how do I help more people with my thing that I've put together, right? I mean, I would say that's what gives you the drive and why we're doing this podcast and everything. And it's the same for me. I love telling people that. In fact, during our One Tribe meetings on Monday, which I hope we get to talk about a little bit here in a second, I say that frequently. I'll tell people, like, listen, I'm not passionate about roofing. I don't wake up every morning to say, man, I can't wait to put on the best damn single ply membrane you've ever seen in your life. Like, that's how can you? I mean, yes, I enjoy the construction process, but To get to your question, I struggled with it for a long time is the answer. I went into contracting and into what I do, I mean, way back, probably like most people go into business or into a job, a way to pay the bills, right? And I grew up with guys who accelerated. Either some of them came from families who already had established businesses, or maybe just like any of us, friends who accelerate faster, whether it be financially or success across different areas. And I really struggled with, man, I feel like I'm talented to be doing something more of a professional career, or something that's a little bit more flashy or requires me to dress a little bit nicer. And I really did. I was like, I'm sitting here doing construction, and I've got these buddies who are doing this, that, the other. I got this buddy Scott, who's a slick financial guy. I got all these people doing this, and I struggled with it. Eventually I landed on, and I talk with my team about this a lot, like, if you're chasing passion as what you do rather than a part of what you do, and I think I've worded it better to them, but if you're just looking at saying, the same old dream of I've got to grow up and be this certain thing, and that's what I'm passionate about, you're never going to find it. You've got to find something about what you do. So inside of what you do that you enjoy, that you wake up every single morning for, and you're excited for. It doesn't matter if that's being a firefighter, landscaper, contractor. It doesn't matter. You got to find that thing. And I guess I consider myself blessed to find that thing for me is to build out processes and systems and things that I can watch grow. Wouldn't matter what the industry was.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head, and you're right. And I appreciate you bringing that up and recognizing that, because for me, and you're right, and I care more about helping people. I mean, I have a sales background, not a finance background. A lot of people think, oh, he must have graduated with a finance background. Not at all.
You don't strike me as a sales guy either.
Yeah, I mean, I was more in sales, but you know what? What I liked about sales, I liked talking to people. And when I talked to people, I liked hearing what their problems were, and I liked figuring out how to solve their problem. And if there was a product to solve their problem that I happened to sell, great. But most of the time, the problems they had, my product wasn't solving. So I just would connect them with the other sales rep that I knew that was selling that product, or the company I just heard about, because I'd go to every single hospital in the entire state. I knew what the other physicians that were like them that were selling. I happen to sell medical devices. So I'd say to them, oh, in that procedure, I saw Dr. So-and-so do that. And what happened was I created so much value in the knowledge that I had from me traveling all over the place and sharing that just in communication. The people naturally, when they did have the problem that my product would solve, they'd come to me instead of my competition. And what I realized going into this finance business, one, I better find somebody that has a lot of knowledge about finance, because I'm not the one that's going to create the program. But once I could see what the value was, I said, I want to bring that. What I want to find, my father was in construction. I think I shared this with you. And to grow and scale, I knew the cash flow problem. So when someone had the idea of this product and we molded it into this, I said, you know what we need to do? We need to solve the problems that business owners have first, which is they can't make payroll, keeping them up at night. We don't need to lend the money. We need to give them a solution to have an ongoing relief of stress. And if our loan product can do that, great. But what we also need to do is help them with all the other things. Find the right insurance, find the right bonding, be part of a solution that can offer all the value out there to educate. So while they're grinding in these construction businesses, which have a lot of employees, a lot of money back and forth, they're constantly bidding. They don't have time to educate themselves on all these other things. So if we can be that resource, if and when they do need money or a product, we'll be there. That's the part that I contributed to this business. And what I thought you did so well with your construction business, and what we talk about with our potential clients, how to mold that over. And I watched you do it so well that I was really wanting to make sure that you shared that.
Right.
What I do want you to talk about, which I think is part of what we're going into now, is how you implemented your one tribe concept, which really labeled everything you and I just talked about. And for the audience, I want you guys to pay attention to this part, because this is really the key piece. Well, all those words me and Andrew just threw back around, he put a label on it called One Tribe, and then he built that One Tribe brand inside of his own company. So go ahead and I'll talk about that, because this is the real important.
Just the One Tribe in general.
Yeah, how you do it, your meetings, the concept, how you implement it weekly.
Well, first of all, it came just the same as it came as to how I recognized what my passion was. It came from me from me going into an office that I despised and working with people that I hated and having this is truth. I don't know any better way to say it. Like it came from such horrible company culture that quite frankly, the type of fear-driven person that I was in a previous life, I probably created that. But at some point, I decided it's time to break out of that mold. Like we've got to build some unity here. We've got to, if I want to achieve this monstrous goal, it's going to take a tribe, right? It's going to take a family. So, long story short, all One Tribe is I sat back and I looked at it and I saw how people in the administrative department were treating people in the sales department, how the sales department was treating people in the field. And, you know, you hear that concept that people talk about team, you hear family. Well, to me, it was kind of like, you know, team's not strong enough. Family, you don't get to pick, so I don't want that, right? A tribe infers a strong bond, a strong group of people who are collectively working towards one goal. And where the one came in was just the simple concept that no matter what department you're in, how old you are, what your pay range is, what color you are, whatever it is, we are one tribe. We're one group of people that are all here for the same exact reason. And that reason is we showed up here to make money. We want to be respected and have a decent time, but we want to walk out these doors every single day and feel like, hey, I contributed something and I did something. And when people start to realize that no matter if you are aggravated in your AR department because, let's say, a salesman screwed up a contract, or you're upset with this person for whatever reason, when you realize that your job, right, is dependent upon that person, and we're all human beings up here, and that if we could drop our stuff at the door and just work together, which is not an easy thing to do, I believe that huge momentum would start to occur within our business. And I think the One Tribe movement, honestly, Scott, I think the world needs it. I know that sounds crazy, but I sat in front of my team last couple of weeks and almost got emotional about it because I see so much hate, I see so much arguing, and it's like, dude, the world needs to hear this.
And you're right, man. Everybody needs to calm down and chill out a little bit.
Right.
And if you focus on something other than yourself, you know what? You probably won't get so emotionally charged, and the world might actually be a better place. And I think that's the difference maker right there.
Right. And, you know, from a tactical standpoint, for you, if you're a business owner, it was also something for my team to rally behind. You know, the second I came up with it, I trademarked it. It's got the little R next to it. You know, it's something that I want them to know is ours. You can rally behind this. Does it mean that everything's perfect and we, you know, are always just congratulating everybody and it's rainbows and cupcakes? No, but it means at the end of the day that we stand for something more than just roofing or landscaping or whatever that thing is. And I think that drives a lot of things in a business.
And you know, it's a great segue because one of the other things you do really well is you market.
Tell me more about what I do well.
You do. You market your business well. You do it in a more unique way than most in the construction field. And I think you also, and I know you do this, you take your One Tribe branding concept, and that's one of the biggest parts of the marketing that you have for your entire roofing business. Mm-hmm. You lead your customers down your One Tribe path, just like you do your team and your employees and anyone else working with you. And you've marketed that way. Can you talk about your thought process and how you went about doing that and sharing some of the success that you had, that you put together doing it?
Here's the fact, man. I believe in it. I feel so strongly about it. You know, that's caring about people, taking care of people. It's one of the things, you know, when me and you first met, I picked up on immediately. And it's not something that I've always been good at, but you're very keen. You listen to people, right? You know what their struggles are. We're going back to what you said about y'all's products in general. So I think what I recognize really quickly is people like you who are successful in what you do, and people in the Arate Syndicate, which we're both involved in, who are successful. There's a deeper meaning behind what they're doing. And so when it comes to the marketing and it comes to all that kind of stuff, yes, we utilize that and we make certain that our customers know about it. But I think what we've done a good job of, and I think that you do, and I wish more people would do, is recognize that their prospect or their client at the other end of the table is another human being who needs help. Now, maybe they need help with financing, maybe they need help with roofing, but they probably also struggle just with self-doubt and all the other things that we struggle with too. So I think what I realized and we're still seeing happen is, what if we tried to connect with people um, to their real struggles in life, and we shared a part of our weekly meeting where I typically talk to the team about stuff like that? What if we could help somebody better their relationship with their spouse? What if we could help them have less self-doubt? When it came time for them to buy a roof, who are they going to buy from? Somebody who has the best warranty, or somebody who helped them? I mean, I know I'm getting deep there, but do something of actual substance in their life.
Yeah, you've given value before you've ever asked for anything, and that, I mean, what better reward could you possibly give somebody? Even
Right.
if and even if they never bought a roof from you, and they don't even need a roof, their friends might, other people
That's right.
might. You're putting a positive ripple out there that is going to reverberate.
Well, one of our joint mentors, or same mentors, Ed Milet, told us both. I think he told us this in Whistler. He said some of the best people that he has ever hired were actually friends of people he didn't hire. And
Right.
he said because he treated those people so well in the interview process and actually gave them some level of value, that that person left and said, hey, listen, man, they didn't have a spot for me, but what they have would fit you perfectly. You got to go work for this person. And it's the rule of reciprocity. It's the same as you setting me up with the bonding company that we work with now. You were responsible for that long before you ever made a dollar for me.
That was the problem that you had. And it's a great segue, because I was going to ask you about something. There's another compliment I want to give to you. Not that this is turning into complimenting you, but
But
and
we'll
this
we'll
may
we'll
sound
reverse, and I'll just give you yours on the next
yeah,
one.
this may sound a little self-serving, but what I want people to hear, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is, aside from what we've talked about and how to help them and how to deliver resources, is using our loan product when it is applicable in the best possible way. Gain
Right.
those efficiencies, grow. And you did that as well as anyone. Give a little story background for everybody. Andrew came to us. He had a great contract work at building, putting the roof on a VA government facility. And he needed bond for it. So I told him, hey, look, I know exactly where you get this bond. Here's the deal. This guy can work this up for you. And he did. And it's part of getting the bond. He also realized, going into the winter weather, if he could accelerate this project. So he said, Scott, what would a loan look like? So I explained the loan product to him. Well, we built our cash flow model out. Andrew saw it in a cash flow and made like 5 tweaks to it. And ultimately, the outcome is Andrew saved more money by borrowing our money and the project cost, which is astonishing to me. But show them what you did and how you did that, because that's the key to using our product.
It is. So I think that it's one of those things that your heart is to help people grow their business rather than necessarily, not that you wouldn't, but bail somebody out of a position where they're, in a corner somewhere. I think that's powerful to note, because I know that you talk frequently about people not wanting to tell their general contractor they have a financing partner and all that kind of stuff. And listen, I've got a whole nother opinion about that. And my opinion is that I agree with you. But the way that we did that and the way that we were able to accelerate the job, not only did it save us money, and we were able to actually accelerate the job with more crews, more material landed in advance, as well as an additional supervisor that we wouldn't have had on site had we not been able to make those arrangements. And you know what? Let's not just step over those things, because being able to stage materials earlier that we might have held on because of cash flow decision making, having multiple crews out there because the cash going out the door was not so much an issue anymore. I mean, those are huge things, right? Our time is money. The faster I can get that job done, it was about I think it's a 1.6 or $7 million contract. The faster I can get that done, the less impact it has on overhead, company resources, all that. I'm in and out and get my money on the way. So that was huge. The tool that you gave me up front, laying out the cash flow projection, just being able to see that and really think it through. I pride myself on being a very analytical, logic-driven person, but I don't know if I would have taken the time to have thought that project out the way I did had you not sent me that tool as the starting point for us to explore if that was an option. But I don't want to also overstep before we close this out. The value of sleeping at night. And it's not that money solves problems, and it's not that your tool is to just give somebody money you don't have to worry about anymore. But not worrying about cash flow because you're covered with an army out there is a very good feeling for an owner or an operator. And it allows them to focus on, which what I did, and this was the truth, I haven't told you this before, but during that time, I was building our estimating department that went from $0 in what I refer to as retail or new construction bid to now we're at $38 million year to date in bids out the door from an estimating department that's got nothing to do with me. I did that while that VA job was going because truthfully, y'all's solution gave me the ability to focus where I needed to as a business owner.
You didn't have to run around all week chasing down receivables and figuring out.
Or watch, hey, are you guys timing this shit just right?
Yeah, no, dude. Like I said, you put that together, and then watching you finish the job in 75% of the time that was allotted, which, by the way,
we finished it in like 2 months, didn't we? Or 2.5?
Yeah, you finished it in 8 weeks. It was set up for 13. I mean, you saved 5 weeks worth of labor. I mean, how many crews? How big was your crew on that job?
I think we had up to 28 at one point in time spread out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the payroll on 28 people?
I don't know. I got too many numbers in my head.
Tens of thousands of dollars, I'm sure. And five weeks times tens of thousands is a real number.
Yeah.
It goes right to the business.
Yeah, it's so I think the answer you're probably looking for in less words is my story, or the way that I would think to maximize it is to put it into place even if you don't think you need it, and run the job quick, fast, and efficient. Allow it to run it faster for you, and you make more money in the long run.
I wouldn't add a thing to that. That might be a new, maybe that's, if we ever come up with a brochure, maybe that's the tagline that goes on the brochure.
That's it.
Andrew, I really appreciate you going through all this, man. I know you're a busy guy, and taking the time out to do it, to help share your story with everybody, means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it. I know it's going to add a ton of value to folks that get a chance to listen to this.
I hope it does.
Everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed this today. I hope Andrew's stories. Andrew puts out a lot of great content on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out and connect with him. He's got a great Instagram story as well.
Hit onetribeweekly.com too, any of you guys, and it's got no self-gain there. You can see what I'm doing. It may help you lead your guys and your team as well. That One Tribe Weekly.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you guys all have a great day, better evening, and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.